What if I told you there is a plant growing in European ditches and American backyards that was known for 2,000 years as the bone knitter? Ancient field doctors claimed it could fuse broken bones back together in record time. Medieval herbalists used it to close open wounds that refused to heal. It was considered an essential survival tool, as vital as fire or water. But today, if you walk into a health food store and ask for it, you might be met with a warning. In many countries, the internal sale of this plant is banned. The FDA advised against it. European authorities restricted it. They said it was dangerous. They said it was toxic. They said to stick to approved pharmaceuticals. But here is the question you should be asking. Did they ban it because it did not work? Or did they ban it because it worked too well in a way that could not be patented? This is the story of comfrey, Symphytum officinale, the plant that accelerates human cell growth. The biological accelerator modern medicine labeled a villain after centuries of being a hero. To understand the magnitude of what we lost, we have to open the archive to the battlefields of ancient Rome. When a soldier's leg was crushed or a rib was broken by a blow, there was no orthopedic surgery. There were no pins, no plates, no casts made of fiberglass. There was only the knitbone. The Latin name for comfrey is Symphytum. It comes from the Greek word sympho, which means to make grow together. This was not a poetic metaphor. It was a literal description of the plant's function. For millennia, the roots and leaves of this plant were mashed into a poultice and applied to fractures. Field doctors observed something that seemed like magic. Swelling went down. Bruises faded. The bones seemed to pull themselves back together at a speed that defied logic. It became the traveler's medicine, the farmer's insurance policy. If you broke a bone during the harvest, you did not go to a hospital. You went to the comfrey patch. By the 19th century, it was listed in every major medical text. It was the standard of care. So, was it magic? No, it was chemistry. And this is where the story shifts from folklore to hard science. In the early 20th century, scientists identified the active compound in comfrey that explains its remarkable healing. That compound is Allantoin. Allantoin is a cell proliferant. In simple terms, it tells your cells to divide and multiply, and it speeds up mitosis. When you apply it to a wound or a broken bone, it signals the body to repair itself. It accelerates the natural healing process, and it stimulates the production of collagen. It is, quite literally, a growth serum. This compound is so effective that the pharmaceutical industry did not ignore it. They copied it. Today, you will find synthetic allantoin in high-end anti-aging creams, scar gels, and expensive dermatological treatments. They isolated the molecule, patented the delivery systems, and sold it back to you for $50 an ounce. But the plant itself? The free source of this regeneration? That became a problem. In the late 20th century, a new narrative began to emerge. Studies began to suggest that comfrey contained compounds called pyrrolizidine alkaloids, sometimes abbreviated PAS. The studies claimed these compounds could damage the liver. Suddenly, the plant known as the bone knitter was labeled a liver toxin. Regulatory agencies moved in. In 2001, the FDA issued a warning that effectively banned internal use of comfrey products. Health food stores pulled comfrey teas from their shelves. The narrative shifted overnight. The plant that had healed Roman legions was now presented as a dangerous poison. But let's look closer at those studies. The research that led to the ban often involved isolating these alkaloids and feeding them to rats in massive, unnatural quantities. They were not giving the rats a cup of tea. They were injecting them with concentrated extracts equivalent to thousands of times what a human would consume. It is the classic method of demonization. You isolate one compound, ignore the synergy of the whole plant, overdose a laboratory animal, and then outlaw the herb. Is comfrey perfectly safe? No plant is perfectly safe if you abuse it. But we sell alcohol in every grocery store. We sell acetaminophen over the counter, a drug that causes thousands of liver failure cases every year. We prescribe synthetic opioids that can stop your breathing. Yet, comfrey, used responsibly for thousands of years, was singled out. Why? Perhaps because a plant that heals wounds and mends bones for free is a threat to a medical system built on expensive interventions. If you can grow a bone-healing poultice in your garden, you are less dependent on the system. Comfrey is what we call a dynamic accumulator. Its roots go down 10 feet into the soil. It mines minerals such as calcium, potassium, and phosphorus that other plants cannot reach. It pulls those minerals up and stores them in its massive leaves. This makes it the ultimate fertilizer. It is arguably the best biological fertilizer on Earth. Even if you are too afraid to drink the tea because of the FDA warnings, you should be growing it. If you cut the leaves and let them rot in water, you create a liquid fertilizer that rivals anything you can buy in a plastic bottle. It is rich in the exact nutrients that plants need to fruit and flower. It is free energy. And topically, even the regulators admit it works. You can still make salves. You can still make oils. The Allantoin still works its magic through the skin, bypassing the liver entirely. So, why is this knowledge fading? Why do modern gardeners treat it like an invasive weed? Because we have been trained to fear nature. We have been trained to trust the white coat and the white pill, and to look with suspicion at the green leaf. They took the bone knitter and turned it into the liver toxin. They took the fertilizer king and turned it into a weed. But the plant did not change. It is still growing in the ditches. It is still pulling minerals from the deep earth. It is still waiting for a broken bone or a bruised spirit. Comfrey represents resilience. You can cut it down to the ground, and it grows back in weeks. You can try to dig it up, but if you leave a single inch of root, it returns. It refuses to die. Maybe we should learn from it. We need to stop looking for health in a catalog of synthetic chemicals. We need to remember the archive. We need to remember that for 2,000 years, humanity survived because we knew which leaves to pick. The ban did not erase the plant. It only erased the memory. If you have a corner of your yard, plant comfrey. Use it to feed your soil. Use it to make a salve for your scars. Reclaim the knowledge that they tried to legislate away. The bone knitter is still here. The question is, are you brave enough to use it? If this story changed how you see the weeds in your garden, do not keep it to yourself. Share it. Plant the seed. Because the ultimate act of rebellion is healing yourself for free.